Here it comes, Charlie. 12,384. There it is. Oh, this is going to be good. Okay, Charlie, here we go. Don't get scared. Let's start in the ones column. We have 7, subtract 4. So what is it, Charlie? 3. 3, very nice. And we'll go ahead and record our 3 up there. Now, how many 10s do we have, Charlie? We don't have any. And we're trying to subtract how many? 8. 8 of those, right? Well, we're going to have to borrow. So we're going to go to our hundreds column. Now, Charlie, how many hundreds do we have?
We don't have any.
We don't have any. So that means we got to go to our next column, which is the 1000s column. Now, how many 1000s do we have, Charlie?
We don't have any.
We don't have any of those either. So we got to continue on, and finally we're up here at the which column, Charlie? The 10,000s. That's right. Now, how many of those 10,000s do we have?
2 of them.
We do have 2 of them. Okay. So we're going to borrow one of these 10,000s. Now, remember, one of these 10,000s contains 10 1000s. So we're going to borrow now. Okay, so notice on the abacus, our 2 comes to 1. And notice in our 1000s column, we now have a what, Charlie? We have a 10. Okay, now let's show our work. We're going to cross out that 2, make it a 1, and now we carry the 10 over, so now we have 10. We now have 10 1000s. But we got to keep going until we get to that tens column, right? Okay, now, we're working in the hundreds column. Now, what we're going to do is borrow one of those 1000s. And remember, 1000 is 10 100s. Okay, so here we go, Charlie. Notice, in our 1000s column, we have 10 of those. When we borrow one, it becomes 9. And notice here, we now have 10 of these 100s. Very nice. Now, how do you show this in your work? Notice, in the 1000s column, you cross out the 10, it becomes a 9. And notice, carry the 1 over, you have 10 of those 100s. Whew. Okay, we got one more to go. Now, we're trying to get to that tens column. So now we can borrow 100 because we now have 10 of those hundreds, right? Okay, now watch what happens here, Charlie. We have 10 100s. When we borrow one of those 100s, it becomes a 9. And notice, how many 10s do we have?
10 of them.
We have 10 of them. That makes sense because we borrowed 100. And remember, 100 is 10 10s. So here we go. How do we show this in our work? We cross out the 10, becomes a 9 over there, and now we have 10 of those 10s. Whew. Okay, now we can do our subtraction. Okay, Charlie, what's 10 subtract 8? That would be 2. Let's do it in the abacus. Well, I know 10 subtract 1 is 9, and I got to subtract 7 more, so that takes me down to the 2. And that's right, we'll go ahead and record. It makes sense. And if you look in reverse, 2 plus 8 is 10. Very nice, Charlie. Now, we're in our hundreds column now, right? How many hundreds do we have? 9, and we're going to subtract 3. So we come down, and that gives you how much, Charlie? 6. So we'll go ahead and record that. All right, Charlie. Now we're in the 1000s column. We have 9 of those, and we're going to subtract how many? 2. So that takes you to a 7 in our 1000s column. All right, Charlie. We're in our last column. Bring us home, Charlie. Well, 1 subtract 1 is 0. Do we need to put that 0 up there? No, we don't. No. And so there is our final answer, 7,623. That completes our lecture on subtraction, which requires borrowing. Now, be sure you practice. Go to your facilitator, your teacher, or your parents, and ask them to give you some problems. Work them out by hand, and then get your calculator out, and you can check your answer with your calculator. Now, don't rely too much on that calculator. You don't want to become one of those calculator kids. Anyway, we'll see you all again soon.